All right, let's dive right in. Today we're talking about something called micro-automation, which sounds complicated, but I promise you, it's a super simple concept that can be your secret weapon for getting insanely productive. So, does it sound familiar? You've got that never-ending to-do list, notifications are pinging all the time. It's just constant. We're all trying to find an edge, right? But the answer isn't about grinding harder or working longer hours. It's about completely shifting how you approach your work. Look, you're putting in the hours. You're trying all the latest productivity apps. You're making the lists. So if you're still feeling buried, it is not because you're lazy or you're not trying hard enough. The real problem here is the strategy we've all been sold. We've all done it, right? The big bang approach. You decide, okay, Monday, I'm going to overhaul my entire life, my whole system, and it almost never works. Real, lasting productivity doesn't come from one giant leap. It's built from hundreds of tiny, consistent steps forward. And that leads us to this really powerful concept called the aggregation of marginal gains. It's a fancy way of saying something super simple. If you just improve every little piece of a process by just 1%, the combined effect is, well, it's huge. It's staggering. A perfect example of this is a guy named Sir Dave Brailsford. He took over the British cycling team when, to be honest, they were pretty mediocre. And he didn't come in and make one single massive change. Nope, he made hundreds of tiny little improvements. And I mean, they looked at everything. They made the bike seats a tiny bit more comfortable for better power. They tweaked the riders' diets for just a little faster recovery. They even taught them the absolute best way to wash their hands to cut down on getting sick. I mean, none of those things by itself is a game changer, right? But when you add all those little 1% wins together, that is how they became an absolute powerhouse, just dominating Olympic cycling. And this is the exact same mindset that we can bring to our own work. It's all about finding our own 1% wins. So, how do we find these 1% improvements in our day-to-day digital lives? Well, this is where we bring in our new secret weapon, micro-automations. This is how we apply that principle of marginal gains to the work we do every single day. So what are these things, really? Just think of them as tiny digital assistants. We're not talking about some big, scary, complex AI system. These are just simple, targeted workflows that take care of all those small, repetitive, mind-numbing tasks that chip away at our focus and time all day long. Okay, enough theory. Let's make this real. I'm going to walk you through 3 super easy wins you can set up pretty much right away to start getting back your time and your focus. I'm going to start with a number that should really get your attention, 22%. Any idea what that might represent in your daily workflow? That's the average jump in your email reply rate you get from sending just one simple follow-up email. But how many of us actually remember to do that or even have the time? This is a perfect task for a micro-automation. Now, to do this right, you just have to follow these 5 simple rules. Your automated follow-up needs to be short and simple. It should obviously refer back to the first message. It's got to sound like a human wrote it, not a robot. And this is key. Try to add a little bit of new value. Don't just send a message that says, hey, just checking in. Okay, our second win is something called a text expander. And honestly, this could be the single most powerful productivity tool you're not using right now. The idea is so simple. You type a short little keyword, like a couple of letters, and boom, it instantly expands into a whole phrase, sentence, or even a full paragraph. The efficiency gain here is it's unbelievable. Instead of typing out that whole standard reply, you just type, say, 4 characters. Now think about this for a second. If you save just 5 seconds on a phrase you type 20 times a day, that adds up to over 10 hours a year. That's a whole workday you just got back from one tiny automation. And this goes so far beyond just simple thank you notes. People use text expanders for everything. Filling out entire support tickets for common problems, logging standard blocks of time, dropping in boilerplate code for an article, even automating Git commit messages. It's all about getting rid of friction. Oh, and that third win? It could be as simple as setting up a rule that automatically saves any email attachment you get into a specific folder in your Google Drive. No more downloading, no more dragging, it just happens. So once you get the hang of these individual little automations, the next level is to start connecting them together. And this is where you go from saving a few seconds here and there to building a real automation engine that is constantly working for you in the background. The key to getting started here is to look for the decision points in your work. Just ask yourself this simple question. Where in my process do I have to stop and make a choice? Where do I think, okay, if this happens, then I need to do that? Those are the perfect spots for a more advanced workflow. And building one is so much easier than you probably think. You basically just go into your tool's settings, find the workflow area, and add what's called a conditional rule. That's where you set up your if-then statement. So, for example, if a new lead comes from Facebook, then assign it to sales team A. And the most important step, test it. Make sure your logic is working exactly how you want before you let it run loose. And all of this brings us to the real goal. This isn't about becoming more robotic or automating yourself out of a job. Not at all. It's about a fundamental shift in how you value your own time and attention. Because every single minute you save on some low-value, repetitive task is a minute you get to reinvest in the deep, strategic, creative work that actually moves the needle on your most important goals. And this really is the ultimate takeaway. In the world we live in today, the real competitive advantage isn't having more people, it's headcount. It's about freeing up your own mental energy, your headspace. And automation is the tool that gives you that power. So my challenge for you is really simple. Don't go out and try to build some massive, complex system tomorrow. Just start small. As you go through your day-to-day, just observe yourself. Find one tiny little thing you do over and over and over again and figure out a way to automate it. That's it. That's your first 1% win. It's your first step toward getting back your focus and hitting a totally new level of productivity. So what's it going to be? What is the first tiny task that you are going to automate?